Now, let's go to other parts of Africa to tell you that the leader of Cameroon's Ambazonia Separatist movement, Sisiku Tabe, and 9 others are set to appear before the Supreme Court on December 18. The Ambazonia leaders are serving life sentences at the Yaoundé Principal Prison. They were sentenced in 2019 after being arrested in Nigeria and deported to Cameroon. The Mfoundi High Court sentenced them to life imprisonment in 2019 in the absence of their lawyers who worked out in protest. However, an appeal was filed in which the Mfoundi Appeal High Court upheld. Their lawyers proceeded to the Supreme Court, which has now promised after 5 years to hear the case on December 18. So joining us from Washington, D.C. is a global policy analyst, Tabenyang Etchu, to discuss more on this. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. For you, why do you think the Supreme Court's hearing is coming 5 years after the convictions? And what does that delay actually suggest about Cameroon's judicial process?
I think it is a procedural aberration that an appeal that was filed in August of 2021 with all conditions of appeal met is being called, yes, after 5 years that it was filed. Highly placed sources indicate that there are no submissions yet from the Attorney General of Cameroon. I am assuming that since there are no submissions from the government, they are conceding to all the grounds of appeal by Sisiku Tabe and his leadership team. Coincidentally, the same case is pending at the Nigerian Supreme Court. The case is pending hearing for the adoption of submissions by the Supreme Court of Nigeria and the defendants. But the difference here is that the Nigerian government is the one that is appealing the judgment of the 3 federal high courts in Abuja in 2019 that ordered their immediate release and return of these individuals by refugee law to Nigeria and their ultimate compensation. With reputable lawyers like Femi Falana and Abdul Oro for the defendants. So I think the Supreme Court is calling that now. It's hard for us to, we're just speculating, maybe for internal procedures. They are calling the case now. We would have to wait until they put in their submissions and get to the actual hearing next week to understand practically what is going on.
Okay, so you are suggesting that there are no evidential suggestions or submissions by government, of course the Cameroonian government, against these people based on the allegations leveled against them. But then let's even look at it. These separatists are being charged, amongst other reasons, for armed rebellion. So when you look at this case, is it about justice or victimization?
I think the Supreme Court case in Cameroon epitomized state persecution, considering that the prosecution of Sisiku Tabe and his leadership team is based on their claim to Southern Cameroon's nationality, their political opinions as advocates and activists for Southern Cameroon's freedom, independence, and self-determination. They were abducted illegally in Nera Hotel in Nigeria on 5th of January 2018 and rendition to Cameroon without any judicial review. So this is clearly a state persecution case, and it is in itself a clear violation of every letter of Refugee Convention and its protocol. Without the legal rendition and refoulement of these individuals to Cameroon, there would never have been any case of the arbitrary arrest as per the United Nations Human Rights Commission Working Group Advisory.
Okay, so then what message does this trial now send to separatist governments, groups rather, and armed movements who are part of this agitation, most especially the English-speaking regions?
I think before I even get to that point, there are other petitions that have been lodged within the Nigerian National Assembly and the Public Petition and Commission to address the circumstances surrounding the rendition of these individuals back to Cameroon. The related hearings at the National Assembly have been adjourned until the case in the Supreme Court is addressed. And to put this into perspective, this case is similar to the abduction and rendition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya back to Nigeria. The only difference here is the Kenyan government is saying that they didn't know anything about the abduction of Kanu from Kenya. But the Nigerian government of late President Buhari and VP Osibaju knew and had every reason to know about the rendition of these individuals to Cameroon, because some of them were Nigerians and all of them had refugee status in Nigeria, so they were quite aware what is going on. So the situation now is very important that for the government of Cameroon to begin to open the door for dialogue, genuine dialogue, there is a need for them to release these prisoners, because the 3 high courts in Nigeria have found them that their arrest and illegal rendition to Cameroon was illegal and unconstitutional. And the United Nations Working Group has also recommended that they should be released and compensated. So Cameroon doing that now, legally, it would signify vindication for these leaders and the people of Southern Cameroons. It would also mute the appeal in Nigeria. So it's quite important that they be released as of this time.
But then, according to the report I read, they've been sentenced to life imprisonment. So if Cameroon would be blatantly violating I don't want to call it dictates, but then the recommendation from the United Nations, would there actually be consequences?
It is a little bit complex. And again, I think that is why they are trying to go through the court system. Because come to think of it, the appeal was filed 5 years ago. Nothing was done. The elections just happened in Cameroon 2 months ago. Certainly, they're looking for a political solution, because one of the major issues during the elections was the release of these political prisoners, particularly the people, the leadership of the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia people. So it is important that the government takes this opportunity and opening for genuine dialogue to engage with these people once they are released. So they will not be violating any of their own laws. I think that is why they're going, my speculation is that's why they're going back to the court system, for the court to legally either clear them of the charges or maybe overturn their sentencing, the life judgment, and maybe for them to look at a political situation. So I think they are doing the right thing. And we're encouraging them. I think from the region, it is very important and critical that the government of Cameroon should be encouraged to look for a solution to the root causes of this crisis. And Nigeria has an important role to play because it is critical that Nigeria should be very, very careful about the security at its southern borders, because you already have Boko Haram insurgency ravaging the north. You have the Biafra agitations in the southeast. You have the situation with the Sahel states. You see the situation in Benin, in Burkina Faso, in Niger, and in Mali. So it is important that Nigeria to play a critical role and not allow the situation to deteriorate in the Cameroons. It is important for Nigeria to come in as a big brother to engage in constructive dialogue to address the root causes of this crisis.
Thank you so much, Tabenyang Etchu, for your contributions during the course
and I think before I go, It is also important for your audience to know that among these detainees, Sisiku Tabe and his leadership team, you have an 80-year-old man whose health condition, due to his advancing age and the dehumanizing, deplorable, and unsanitary conditions in the dungeons in the prison in Yaoundé, calls for compassionate release. So we are appealing to Ferdinand Gongo, to Minister Atanga Ponji, the president of the country, to release these individuals, whether it's through clemency or a right for forgiveness of what they have done, but it is important that they be released at this time to make sure that Cameroon begins the healing process from the villages, from the cities, because Sisiku Tabe symbolizes the leadership and is the face of the people of Southern Cameroon, highly respected by both the intellectual class and everyday Southern Cameroonians from the cities to the rural enclaves. So it is to the best advantage of the government to take this opportunity to release these individuals.
Well, it's about tempering justice with mercy. We hope that the Cameroonian government would actually give listening ears to this. Thank you so much, Tabenyang Etchu, for sharing your thoughts with us.
Thank you.